Dan stared at the burning country that used to be home. He was in Canada now, and though bored, knew he would be safe for a while. His wife was murdered in front of him as well. We here at Applebee's know this life is hard, and that's why our peach cobbler is soft. Applebee's.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Apocalypse Soon! And now, your host, in the park, wearing a beautiful hat, Mr. Eddie Pemberton!
Hello, everybody, and as you know, Apocalypse Soon is dedicated toward chronicling for you the ecosystem collapse. Today here in North Hollywood, it was 101 degrees, and it was toasty. Wasn't it toasty?
Very toasty. Yeah.
Very toasty. And so we like to sometimes broadcast from nature. It's dark. We've had some momentous things happen here. Roe v. Wade was overturned. And, the Christian evangelicals need to be, shown the door. We need to show them that... we're tolerant, not intolerant.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's like
right. They're intolerant under the banner
of compassion,
this Christian.
Yeah, I don't like it, and it bothers me. There's plenty of people who have been so convinced that they were right. That they can't hear other people. Right. That seems to be.
I've never been wrong yet. But I'm only 63.
That's right. Yeah. You still got plenty of time.
I still have plenty of time. We're in the park, and we're in... so our country's gone back like 50 years. It doesn't feel like, though, that in the major cities, which I've always lived in, but, it's, too much, man, too much. That's authoritarianism to tell people what they can do with their bodies, plain and simple.
Yeah.
That is what fascism is, under the banner of, we want to save, the children.
Yep.
Give me a fucking break.
Well, did you ever read that Malcolm Gladwell book about, he talks about the crimes going down, the crime rate nationally going down?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I have a bug on my elbow.
Nature.
It's all part of the show.
Nature.
Folks.
Soon the bugs will be gone, and then us. I think it's bugs, humans, all the way down to cockroaches, which are the last to survive.
Yeah.
And if you're listening now, cockroaches, please do us good. Say that humans were worth something.
Please. Put in a good word for us. Yeah, but this shit is crazy. It really has been kind of nutty.
Oh, man. A lot of people very despairing because they're afraid.
Yeah.
I say utilize the fear and take action with fellow people. And by action, nonviolent protests, but nonviolent, but let them know you're there.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I say get real passive aggressive with them. You know what I mean? Like, you go to the court justice.
Family's, modus operandi.
What a great decision. No, you really killed it today, Judge.
Yeah, right. You killed it.
And they'll go, well, what? And nothing.
By the way, it is interesting to podcast beneath the open sky at night because the clouds are still kind of pretty out here.
Absolutely.
Really nice. So anyway, so we wanted to, just talk about that a little, that we need to organize and we need to, really fucking be forceful anyway we can to stop the fascists because they are fascists. That's a plane fly. We're going to hold for the plane, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Hold.
Those people are going to work.
Hold for plane, folks.
All right.
Thank you, folks. We want to just acknowledge the fact that we are tumbling toward a dark time. I've always said it. I mean, that's the name of this podcast, Apocalypse Soon. So we do have to revert it, though. We have to revert it, fight the good fight. So we're in the fight, though. Comedy is going to be more important than ever.
Yeah. Yes.
Comedy on the front lines is going to be very important. I'm going to be traveling around.
Yeah, you're going on a big tour pretty soon.
I don't want to brag.
Well, hey, I seen the dates.
I don't want to brag.
Well, you have to tell people, when you're going to be out.
All right.
And
I
stuff,
do want to say that I will be in San Diego.
Jeez.
San Diegoans and surrounding environs, come see me, Eddie Pepitone, at the Soda Bar, July 10. This July 10th coming up. And Salt Lake City, I'm going to see you July 7th.
Oh, wow. Salt Lake City.
Yeah, at the Metro Music Hall.
Wow, you're a really big deal.
Metro Music Hall in Salt Lake and the Soda Bar in San Diego. That's where I'm going to be. July Soda Bar the 10th and Salt Lake Metro Music Hall the 7th of July.
That'd be awesome. I love Salt Lake City.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because of the polygamy.
Salt Lake, yeah. Salt Lake and San Diego. San Diego and Salt Lake. It kind of goes together. San Diego and Salt Lake. He was going on a 2-city tour. He was my baby. Going on a 2-city tour. They overturned Roe v. Wade.
Boom, boom, boom.
And it's time to fight them.
Da-dum, da-dum.
To go at them.
Ba-boom, boom.
And tell them fascism don't fly.
I love that. Have you ever been in a doo-wop group?
Oh, I love all the doo-wop groups. Yeah. Have I ever been in them?
Yeah.
Yes, I have been in several doo-wop groups.
Wow.
Yeah. All of them non-sanctioned by the doo-wop association. But we're working on it.
They're really.
How about you? Now, your
stubborn.
generation, you guys don't know doo-wop. You barely know human beings. You guys are in this. You're on computer. You're on computers all day long.
Yeah.
And you really are a simulation.
Yeah. No, I play the sousaphone. My sim character does in the spaceosphere on Facebook.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I'm kind of a musician in that way.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, I love your work.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, what else do we have to say? I wanted to promo those shows.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've got a pretty good show today. It's a little unusual.
I think so.
Me and Eddie have had our heads on the swivel today. I was unavailable earlier, and Eddie had COVID for weeks.
I'm coming off the 2-week COVID list.
Yeah. So had to rest up, and then the day we could do it, I got booked for a commercial. Not to brag, non-union, but this guy he sells rugs out of his pickup, and he says he needs my help to push the rugs.
Sounds like a pretty normal gig these days.
Yeah. But I think we're gonna sell a couple of them. All right. This commercial's it's looking good.
Look, I'm behind you 100%. Whatever you do.
I
was behind you when you were in your sign twirling stage, getting people to go to a Fat Burger.
The salad days.
Well, salads, that was later on in your career. You were twirling the salad. The tossed salad, it was called.
I kept telling them that they should change the name because people, people get a dirty mind and they just refuse because that's what they sold was tossed salads.
Yeah. All right. So listen, everybody. So, we're doing this, unorthodox podcast out here because I've had COVID for 2 weeks. Kevin got busy. So, we're just making do here. So I think you'll enjoy this episode anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's got just funny shit.
Mm-hmm. And we just decided we're going to have another talk with your life coach.
That's right.
on here, which will be great. What is her name again?
Rachel Fell.
Rachel Fell. She's great. I really enjoyed
Yeah,
going through the
she is
last
great.
one. But yeah, that's and I think we got some good stuff. We got some driving in the rain.
Yep.
So enjoy.
And enjoy the show, and we'll talk to you after.
And don't take Eddie for granted.
Never take me for granted.
Yeah.
Never.
Ugh.
Never.
And now cleanse your chakras and open your third eye on Guided Meditation with Eddie Pepitone.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another guided meditation. I hope you have on loose-fitting clothing, perhaps a colorful scarf, some kind of laissez-faire attitude toward meditating. So here we go. Make sure you're in a sunlit room, preferably in an upper middle class neighborhood. Actually, let's just call it what it is these days, upper class. Middle class is long gone. Let's breathe in the fact that the middle class is gone. There is no more buffer now between hate groups, violent revolution. It's all gonna be a bad ending, because economically, the average working person in the United States is just a target for rich people. Breathe that in. There is no more social upward mobility. Yes, you can be one of those people who are like, I can achieve anything, but you're delusional. Breathe that out. Breathe out the fact that there is no social mobility. Just breathe that out, that you're gonna wind up where you are. Breathe in now, and with this in-breath, I want you to take into the fact that we all will be underground, either dead or living in sewer systems because of the intense bloodshed that will be brought about by a combination of climate wars and fascism. Breathe that in. Breathe that in. Ecosystem destruction and hate groups who can't get economic security. Just coming together in a perfect storm of disaster. Breathe that in and let your breath and follow your breath. Follow all that hate into the tip of your toes and the top of your head and the middle of your chest. And nobody knows where the solar plexus is. Everybody talks about it, but nobody knows really where it is. And now, with your next out breath, I want you to realize that maybe the best option for people who don't own things will be to either join a cult, which a lot of them have, or check in to a mental health facility, hopefully near the ocean, and just rock in a chair for many, many, many sunsets. Breathe that out. Breathe that out. And thank you for coming to another guided meditation.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the part of the podcast where we try to make sense of the nonsense that is our lives. We call this part the Exploratorium, where Rachel Fell, a former marketing director who saw the light, a blinding light, she got out of the business world and into existential coaching. She also This is no time to laugh. We are in the exploratory, and finally, the
Sorry.
part of the podcast where we are now trying to make sense of the nonsensical. Our culture is so battered and bruised, and the human beings in it are trying to figure stuff out, but maybe making sense by letting go of making sense is the way to go. And now let's talk to coach, consultant, and existential guide, and she happens to be my existential guide. Please welcome Rachel Fell. Hello, Rachel.
Hi, Eddie. How are you?
Hello. This is so exciting for me because you are my go-to on just making sense of the world, and also making sense of my life. And I think that people can, and I just thought, I think you're so brilliant in your analysis and your approach to human beings in this time we live in. And the first question I'll ask you is, can you explain what making sense by letting go of making sense means?
Oof, yeah. Hi.
Mm-hmm. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back. Where's your answer now, Fel? Well, that's it, right? I just let go of, I gave myself a minute, right? Like I gave myself a minute. So evolutionary biology fascinates me. Like everything fascinates me. And I think we're born curious. Like little kids are curious. They're always asking why, right? So we're always thinking. I think humans are I think therefore I am. I think humans are really identified with thinking. Absolutely. And those prefrontal cortexes of ours, they're big and they're beautiful and they're full of a ton of horsepower. And they're not supposed to be the only way we make sense of the world. Like they're not the only tools at our disposal, right? We have the limbic system, we have the brainstem, we have the nervous system, we have the entire body, we have space, we have sleep, we have focus and attention, we have play, we have all these tools at our disposal to help like make sense of things and integrate them. Yet we're always like forcing it. We're forcing this sort of like need to have answers through this computer, this big high horsepower computer. And so I think we get caught up in that,
Yeah, absolutely. And so the prefrontal, you should really explain that that's our thinking part.
Yeah.
And we have become so reliant on that we are, missing. And we talk about this too, how our body is really, is one big brain, I think you said at one point to me.
Yeah. So it all works together, it's one big system. And so I forget the name of the, I can look it up and, share it with.
I'm pretty sure it's Buster Keaton.
Buster Keaton. Yeah. Not Diane Keaton or Buster Brown. Okay. So, evolutionary biology, right? We got the brainstem, that regulates things like heartbeat and breathing. Like you don't tell yourself to consciously breathe every, seconds, right? Got the limbic system that evolved next. That's that mammalian brain. So limbic system really connected to nervous system. All of it's your nervous system, right? Your nervous system isn't just your brain, it's in your body. But that mammalian brain, that limbic system really controls a lot of the affective, like emotions and moods and things like that. And then the cortex evolved last, but it's a ramshackle house. So like it all is supposed to work together, but we're really, we value as a culture rational linear thought. We value reason. We value, the sort of like unspoken value here is that like thinking it, I think, therefore I am. But like you also breathe, therefore you are. You also feel, therefore you are. So there's this kind of like really, it seems like this like insidious sort of like unspoken identification with thoughts being superior to other ways that humans, it's like the most important input, or output or whatever.
Yeah, and there's no doubt about that our culture, and this is what we want to get into, our culture, reveres thought. And I mean, and it should. I mean thought. I mean, I think people, for instance, who are drawn to podcasts are people who they're a lot, by and large, they're people who want to make sense of things by getting different viewpoints. And I mean, I think that's the popularity of podcasts, because the mainstream media just hits one note or a couple of different notes over again, fear, blame, over and over, they hit the same type of notes. And it's a very narrow view of the world that can be very harmful, don't you think?
Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely. That sort of pervasive, it feels like an onslaught of like messaging that's like not enoughness and scarcity and competition and like you'll never be enough, or you'll never have enough. Like we maybe like to consciously say that like those things aren't affecting us, but we're being hit with that shit all the time. And it's not just mainstream media, right? Like you're scrolling Instagram and like all the stuff people are trying to sell you. And what's fascinating, I think, is like you said something really interesting, Eddie. You said like people are looking for different opinions, different perspectives.
Yeah.
Maybe some people are, but if we're being really honest with ourselves, we're also looking for people who see things the way we do. We're very, like back to evolutionary biology, right? Like we're looking for people who have like shared philosophies or ideologies or ideals a lot of times. We're looking to like belong to something. So people that are like discontent with the mainstream, which like, yeah, there is that sort of shadow side to that. It's like we're looking for diversity of perspective, but we're also looking for sameness of perspective, maybe too.
Yeah, well, I know what you mean there. You're talking about kind of the impulse for family, the impulse for community. One of the big things is we don't want to feel so separate and threatened. And the capitalist system, that I, kind of dedicate my life to destroying, because they dedicate their goddamn lives, at least, for the last, 40 years, 50 years, to destroying people's lives, because they want to accumulate as much wealth as they can without thinking about the humanity and nature.
Yeah.
Right? They destroy. I mean, one of the biggest unbelievable contradictions of capitalism is that they are destroying the ecosystem that we survive in. And they don't see us as part of an ecosystem. They see, and they turn everything into a commodity. You want to talk about that a little?
Yeah. And as separate or above, it's like this idea of human, like species wide superiority complex kind of, and like, where does that come from? Where does that come from? Like, where do you think it comes from?
I think it comes from what you touched on at the beginning, which is our reliance on our prefrontal cortexes, right? Did I get that right?
Yeah, you got it. You got it. There's the prefrontal, there's the cortex, the whole thing. The cortex is this place that has the two sides. So like inside, neuroscience is like fascinating. And if you really want to get into this stuff, I really recommend looking up the work of Sir Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff. Their stuff on consciousness studies is like fascinating. All that to say, yeah, like I totally agree with you. It's like we think we know so much, or like we think we're above or separate. It's like, well, why do we feel that way? Why do we think that way? You know, it's like everything we do has an impact on somebody else or the environment or like whatever. There's nothing in this world that's not co-created, including this, you know, this destruction, right? And so capitalism without some sort of unifying underpinning like ideology or philosophy, like when we always talk about like I always come back to like philosophy feels like the most pragmatic thing in the world right now. Like growing up, I was always like really curious and really interested in the relationships between things, the spaces between things, and the connections, right? And that depth of curiosity, there's not a lot of places to put that in society. Like I think I went into marketing as like a cover just because I was like interested in human experience, you know, and the interconnectedness of things. Like I love writing and, you know, I'm really interested in psychology, but like this philosophy piece is like capital for capital's sake it's like not sustainable. Why can't we use that like brain of ours to get that? Like why, you know what I mean? It's like, we're not that smart.
No, we are not. No, we are not. And we have also talked about how and this is key, at 11:45 here, I'm going to make up, because we have talked about the fact that we are, what is it? We're monkeys in meat suits. How does it go? How does it go again?
So this is a very, I'm like just
fancy monkeys.
Fancy monkeys. And we got this like super technologically advanced meat suit. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we are part of nature. We are, as a matter of fact, I was listening to some amazing Eckhart Tolle last night, and he talks about, it was just amazing. It's at the end, it's the last 3 chapters. I recommend anybody to read the last 3 chapters, or in my case, I listened to Eckhart Tolle. I was having an insomniacal night, and I was just so in my head. And I think this is a thing that happens to a lot of people, is the momentum of thinking becomes unstoppable. This locomotive of worry, this locomotive of like going down, of trying to figure things out. Let's get back to what we originally said. You know, trying to figure things out because we want some kind of footing, don't we? Like I think that now you tell me if you agree with this, but I think the reason why we try to figure things out is that we are trying to get some stability in the uncertainty of what life is, the mystery. We don't want to deal with the mystery. We want to be like, okay, I'm going to get up at 9 and my coffee maker's going to go on. And then I'm going to take a shower with my wet radio in the shower. Now, I know that doesn't exist anymore, but but I'm going to get in the shower, and then I'm going to come out. My coffee's going to be ready, and then I'm going to get in my car and go to work, and then I'm going to see Fred and John. If people want stability, and that's why. Isn't that one reason that we try to make sense of things, and we don't want to go into the mystery?
Yeah, well, I mean, uncertainty, like there's a level of trust in self required to navigate mystery. And like we are animals, so like uncertainty could be dangerous, you know. It could be dangerous to our, you know, to our physicality, to our very being. Like that uncertainty, fear of death, you know, when we talk about like we've laughed like about, existential guidance, existential coaching, but it's so, again, like, I feel like it's so pragmatic because in our culture, you're given like a choice. It's everything's a dogma and everything's like religion, or it's a sports team, or it's a political stance, or it's an opinion. Like we connect with our identity to philosophy. Like philosophy and identity are very closely connected, like our values and what we believe, right? And we're very identified with our beliefs a lot of time. Even that is like a grasping, right? So there's sort of like,
Totally.
you know what I mean? So like coming back to the like fear of uncertainty thing, when we're trying to make sense of everything in the brain, I think a lot. So bear with me on this little bit of like a journey here. So I'm a big Star Trek fan, which is like,
okay, right. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Big Star Trek fan. So in Star Trek Voyager, there's a character named Seven of Nine, and she's a human. And as a child, she's taken by the Borg, and the Borg are like this mechanical hive mind. Like they assimilate all these different species, and they like outfit them with really crazy, like computational, like enhancements and things. Anyways, Kate Mulgrew, Janeway, awesome, rescues her, quote unquote, and brings her back into her humanity. But she's got this like enhanced sort of like what we'll call it cognitive capability. And so she's like, there's one episode where she plugs in and she gets the whole history of the ship's data files, all the logs, all Janeway's personal logs, all of like everybody's information. And she starts like weaving these three stories based on the same information that are all three different narratives, different stories based on the same data points. And they come out as these sort of like competing conspiracy theories, right? She doesn't have the context of having had the experience or the emotions or like she wasn't part of that thing firsthand. So like, I only bring this up because I think this is like an awesome proxy for talking about how like the brain, the cortex, when left to its own devices, will just like, it's like a meaning making machine, and it's pulling in data and information, and it's trying to make sense of a thing to like keep us safe. But like what that spits out, like, is that helpful? Is that correct? Is that like a thing that is like making us miserable, or is it contributing to a sense of like contentment and equanimity, right? Like we're grasping to make sense, but like maybe we're not really, maybe we're just like spinning a tail,
Well, I think what we can really see in our culture today is, side A versus side B, whether you want to call it red or blue, whatever you want to call it, liberals and right wing, whatever you want to, whatever label, and it's, and all this shit. Let's talk about what it is. It's shit. All this shit is labels.
Yeah.
It's labels on a incredibly complex reality. These labels become so confining, like you're a liberal, you're a snowflake. And it's like all of that is ego. And we should talk about the ego a little, because we are, I mean, we're all over the place here, but Donald Trump was, hated by a lot of people and loved by a lot of people, right? And the hate, I really think that people on the left, hated him because partly they saw themselves in him. He is a manifestation of such greed and self-interest, right? But we all have that stuff. We all have that inside. And a coming together of the society, right? We would be something like realizing that a lot of us are so similar in so many ways. We all want love. We all want just some security. We want family. We want, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like we use this grasping onto beliefs to because it's fear-based. It's fear-based.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so much here, Eddie, right?
Yeah.
And you said you started talking about like duality, right? And opposition. Earlier I mentioned the nature of like identity and how identity is so connected to like what we believe. And I think that that's worth pausing and slowing down and sort of like really sitting with. It's like, are we mutable in our beliefs? Are we very like staunch in our beliefs? Are we open to change? Are we open to learning things? Are we open to really like hearing another person or connecting?
Well, in our culture right now, no, you can see that. Mm-hmm. You can see that it's anger. It's anger and it's blame. Blame is another thing I wanted to talk about with you.
Right. So this connects us to like, so we're fighting each other all the time because we're swimming in this sort of morass, or this like, I'm just imagining like this like bog of, I don't know, this like just absolute, like it's mucky and it's gross and it smells bad. It's like this bog of shame that is our culture that we're surrounded by. Like, you're never enough. Buy this. This isn't good enough. Be always on. Like everything, like even, it's like to be constantly productive. Like,
yes, that affects me big time.
Right. It's information coming in at us, like, this ain't what we're evolved for. Like, this shit ain't natural, And so there's like a thing there where it's like, we're overwhelmed. We're living outside of our nature. And instead of orienting ourselves to the problem, which is, we don't have like a unifying sort of philosophy or culture, like the American values.
That's important.
Right. You ask 10 people what American values are, you'll get some cliches, you'll get some lip service. You're right. We do all want, like basic needs met. We do all deserve that. Nobody should have to, it's my belief that nobody should have to like prove any sort of worth to have basic needs met, that human dignity is a right and should be carried. Like that's something I truly believe,
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I mean, we're fighting each other because we're living in this way that like alienates us from ourselves. So instead of looking at each other and placing blame outside of ourselves, it's like, can we see where that lives in ourselves? And then can we reorient our anger at the systems, which is like what you do, which is why,
right.
I think that's why people love you, right? It's because like, instead of going at groups or other people or like labels of identity, you're like, fuck the system.
Well, tell people, Rachel, where they can find you.
Yes. Besides,
give us your address.
Oh God, that sounds like a bad idea. Aside from in the ether, I would say on the internet, rachelfell.com. So like you mentioned, I was a marketing director for a long time, and always interested in bringing more integrity to that pursuit. I think there's a lot of people doing really good work in that space, like really trying to make change in there by like being earnest and honest about what we're selling. Right. I always used to say like, don't be really real, like know who you are and what you're selling so that like people can buy and you're not like pulling a fast one on them. Right. Like so I did that for a long time, but then, pandemic and just malcontent, discontent. So now I'm doing brand and strategy and business consulting. And I'm also doing this existential coaching thing, which I'm really loving doing. And it's been a joy to be working with you. So, rachelfell.com is my website. Find me on Instagram. I post a lot of pictures of Lake Michigan, if you're into that sort of thing. Rachel Fell over there. Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Your rights are being stripped by a right-wing Supreme Court. Next comes gay marriage. That's why it's time to invest in a new pair of Beats by Dre. The incessant noise of gunshots will be deafening. Our noise-canceling tech will keep you living in idiotic bliss. Beats by Dre.
Now please enjoy Driving in the Rain with Eddie Pepitone.
It was a dark, dark night. I shambled out of bed and knew I had to get into my Uber / Lyft / Instacart / Uber Eats / OnlyFans vehicle, my car. I got in and the rain was coming down. Oh, it was raining. I have never seen rain like this before. And I watched the Weather Channel. That's right, I've never seen rain like this before. And I watched the Weather Channel. And this rain, she was coming down. She was coming down. Sort of like being taken down by a very fat wrestler. This rain was like a fat wrestler, just coming down and taking you down. It hit you so hard, and I rolled up both windows in my car. I still had the manual windows. I didn't want my arms to get soft being a Uber / Lyft / Instacart / Uber Eats / OnlyFans guy in a car. I was thinking of doing psychotherapy to go. Because I just got my degree in psychotherapy, I could drive around in the car, have people come into the car and drive them around and talk about their childhoods and what went wrong. And maybe it wasn't their fault, but I'll tell you, the way the rain was hitting my automobile, it was hitting my automobile like a planet gets hit by a meteorite. Earth shaking, or whatever planet you're on shaking. The rain came down. It came down. The opposite of what prices are doing in the American heartland that I am a part of, just driving and driving in America, driving into the dark night of fascism, and the rain was being fascist tonight. The rain was being fascistic. It was being authoritarian. The rain was being essentially a piece of shit, an ignorant piece of shit. I've never seen rain like this before, and I have seen the Weather Channel. The rain. I drove through the rain and I noticed on the side of the road at 5th and Garbanzo Bean, I noticed there was a man. He had crutches and a clown nose. I got closer to him and he said, "Don't get closer." That was always my limit with people who looked like they were nuts. Nuttier than the rain that was falling. This rain was insane. This rain was nuts. This rain was crazy. This rain was pounding down. Just pounding down. Pounding down. Pounding down like an insane person who throws themselves off their bunk bed onto the floor, passing their bunkmate and not even saying, how do you do? That's what kind of rain I was driving through. Insane rain, crazy rain, nuts, Nuts rain, batty rain, demented rain, abhorrent, aberrant, perverted rain. Oh boy, I saw the man on the crutches with the clown nose. We both winked at each other. We knew we were both insane, and the rain never let up. This has been another Driving in the Rain with Eddie Pepitone.
Hey, thanks everybody for tuning in to another episode of Apocalypse Soon, the unorthodox version. Well, did you have fun, Kev?
I did have fun. I mean, it's late, and we're out here in the park. And honestly, today was so hot and kind of exhausting that this is actually very refreshing.
It is.
Even though it's,
It
work-ish.
It's work-ish, and we have a 1 in 4 chance of getting murdered.
Oh, yeah, but isn't that the dream?
25%.
Finally getting the paper.
Yeah. Any publicity is good publicity, they say.
That's right. Speaking of publicity, if you enjoy Edward Pepitone, the man sitting to my left, make sure to go to patreon.com.
Thank you.
And support the man. For that, I will send you the video the day that the podcast comes out, and as opposed to having to wait a week later. And then we'll also get, what else? So we got some stand-up clips on there. You do the Q&A, which is a lot of fun.
I'll talk to Patreons in a Q&A. I'll throw some stand-up clips. I got to start doing more. We have to put some content out there. I have a lot of just clips that I have that the Patreon members will be the only ones to see them.
Yeah. And they're really great. Some of the stuff that I've gone out and filmed with you has been so fantastic.
Yeah, and also very unique in the sense it's just me working out,
Yep.
Even though every performance for me is like a special.
Oh, it's like Mozart, he's just warming up, It's
I don't know what to say. All right.
I love watching
I hope you enjoyed it. Write a review, right?
Yes, write a review on iTunes or wherever you listen. And do us a favor and share the podcast. And if you've already written us a review and you'd like to do something else, and you're already a Patreon subscriber, write into your local newspaper about how great this podcast is and tell a story, true or false, but it makes this podcast look like in a more positive light, and really get the word out about the pod. Share it with your friends and family, bring it up at church. We talked about Roe v. Wade on here. What a great thing to share with somebody to help change their minds and ease it into it with a kind, hilarious soul like Mr. Edward Pepperoni.
Look, I didn't want to brag, but I let Kevin do it for me. So thanks again, everybody. And we will be back with another edition of Apocalypse Soon, the podcast with no upside, next week. So, ciao, bella.